There is a tree across the tropics that contains all 9 essential amino acids, offering a complete protein profile that rivals traditional animal sources gram for gram in its dried leaf form. It grows 10 feet a year from one seed, yet the protein industry spends $30 billion annually making sure you never hear about it. And by the end of this video, you will know which tree this is and how to grow it yourself. Hey, before we get into it, if you have ever wondered what plants were growing in biblical times and how you can actually grow them in your own garden today, go check out Eden's Harvest. Trust me, they are bringing scripture to life in a way you have never seen before. Walk into a market in Chennai, India tonight. Watch the vendors. They are stacking long green pods in bundles, some thicker than your thumb and nearly 2 feet long. Families buy them by the kilo without hesitation. Children snap the pods open and eat the soft flesh inside like green beans. This is not okra. This is not asparagus. This is something Western grocery stores have never carried. Yet 300 million people across South Asia eat it every single week. Now travel to East Africa. In rural villages across Senegal, Mali, and Niger, women harvest bright green leaves from a tree growing along the edges of their compounds. They spread the leaves on woven mats in the shade, let them dry for 2 days, then grind them into a fine emerald powder using a wooden mortar. They stir this powder into porridge and feed it to malnourished children. Aid organizations distribute the seeds across famine zones. Doctors have watched children too weak to stand recover within days of eating the leaves. The women do not call this a supplement. They call this the never die tree because no drought kills it and no season of neglect stops it from producing. In the Philippines, mothers brew tea from these same leaves after childbirth to promote milk production. Fishermen eat the leaves before heading out at dawn because they provide sustained energy without heaviness. In Guatemala, healers press oil from the seeds and apply it directly to infected wounds. In Haiti, families cook with every part of this tree: the roots, the bark, the flowers, the pods, the leaves. Nothing goes to waste because nothing can afford to. Here is the first clue that something went wrong. In India, people call it the drumstick tree. In the Philippines, it is malunggay. In East Africa, it is nebadeye. In Haiti, it is benzolive. In an ancient Sanskrit text dating back thousands of years, it is shigru. One tree with dozens of names across dozens of languages and no unified identity in English. When a tree has no consistent Western name, it has no consistent presence in databases, cookbooks, or research funding. The fragmentation was not intentional, but the result was erasure. Compare this to quinoa. Quinoa had one name, one story, one marketing campaign. It went from an obscure Andean grain to a Western health food aisle staple in a single decade. This tree never received that unification. It remained foreign in each separate encounter, never familiar, never integrated, never understood. The ancient record tells a different story entirely. In India, nearly 4,000 years ago, physicians documented this tree in some of the earliest medical texts in human history. The Ayurvedic tradition cataloged over 300 conditions treatable with preparations from its leaves, seeds, bark, roots, and flowers. Joint pain, respiratory disease, skin infections, digestive disorders, inflammation, fever. The documentation fills thousands of pages in text that Western researchers never prioritized for translation. In ancient Egypt, women crushed the seeds of this tree and rubbed the paste against the inside walls of their clay water vessels. The water stored overnight became clearer, safer, drinkable. Egyptian families figured this out thousands of years before modern chemistry could explain why. They did not understand the biochemistry, they just knew the water stopped making their children sick. In sub-Saharan Africa, this tree became inseparable from survival itself. Picture a village in East Africa 300 years ago. The rains have not come. The soil has cracked into hard plates. The millet and maize have withered to nothing. Livestock are dying in the fields, but one tree stands green at the edge of the compound, still producing leaves, still yielding long green pods, still growing while everything else around it dies. Families strip the branches, dry the leaves on mats under shade cloth, and feed the powder to children who have not had a real meal in weeks. Those children recover. The tree survived the drought because it was designed by evolution to survive droughts. It needed almost no water, no fertilizer, no attention, only sunlight and time. The tree is Moringa oleifera. 13 species exist in its genus, but oleifera is the one that changed the world. Scientists have called it the miracle tree. The people who depend on it every day just call it dinner. Moringa grows fast, not garden fast, not tomato fast, infrastructure fast. Under favorable conditions, a moringa tree reaches 10 feet in its first year. Some varieties in tropical climates with steady rainfall push past 15 feet. You plant a seed the size of a marble in a pot on your porch, and 4 months later you are looking up at a tree taller than you are. The first leaf harvest begins within 60 to 90 days of planting. After that first harvest, the tree regenerates. New leaves push out within 6 to 8 weeks. You harvest again. It regenerates again. This cycle repeats throughout the entire growing season without replanting, without reseeding, without purchasing anything at all. And here is what separates moringa from virtually every other crop on Earth. It thrives in poor soil. It tolerates drought. It survives neglect. It grows in regions receiving as little as 250 millimeters of annual rainfall. No pesticides required, no special fertilizers, no irrigation systems. One tree, harvestable protein every 6 weeks from a plant that requires less care than a houseplant. This is not a supplement, this is biological infrastructure. But the leaves hold a secret that even most nutritionists do not fully appreciate. Moringa leaves contain all 9 essential amino acids, all 9. This almost never happens in the plant kingdom. Usually only animal products like beef, eggs, and dairy carry the complete set. Yet moringa delivers every single one with especially high concentrations of leucine and valine. These are the amino acids your muscles need most for repair and growth. Dried moringa leaf contains roughly 27% protein by weight. Beef contains roughly 26%. That comparison is not hypothetical. It is a measured chemical fact. A tree producing more protein per gram than a cow, and doing it with nothing but sunlight, water, and soil. The leaves also deliver vitamin A at concentrations rivaling carrots, calcium levels that exceed milk, iron content that surpasses spinach, vitamin C higher than oranges. These are not supplement label claims. These are laboratory measurements, repeated across dozens of independent analyses over decades. But the real revelation came when researchers looked deeper, past the vitamins and minerals, into what the tree actually builds inside its own tissues. Moringa leaves and seeds contain bioactive peptides. These are small protein fragments that carry specific biological functions of their own. Some act as antioxidants powerful enough to function in living human cells. Others inhibit the exact same enzyme that pharmaceutical blood pressure medications target. The tree manufactures its own blood pressure regulators inside its leaves. No factory required, no patent possible. Other peptides show antimicrobial activity, meaning they actively fight harmful bacteria. Still others demonstrate potential for protecting bone density as the body ages. A tree that synthesizes its own pharmacy, blood pressure medicine, antimicrobial agents, antioxidant shields, all through photosynthesis, all from sunlight, soil, and water. Now consider what this means for the protein supplement industry. The global protein supplement market reached approximately $30 billion in 2025. Whey protein, casein, collagen peptides, pea protein isolate. Every product sitting on those store shelves requires industrial extraction, purification, flavoring, packaging, and temperature-controlled shipping. Every product carries a patent or proprietary formulation. Every product generates recurring monthly revenue because the customer must buy it again and again. The average American household spends between $150 and $400 per year on protein supplements. Shaker bottles sit in kitchen cabinets. Monthly subscription boxes arrive at front doors. Tubs of powder dissolve in water and taste like artificial chocolate. Now consider Moringa. A single tree grown from a seed that costs less than $1 produces harvestable leaves every 6 to 8 weeks for years. The leaves dry in the shade and grind to powder with nothing more than a mortar and a pestle. No extraction technology, no encapsulation line, no branded packaging required. You cannot patent a tree. You cannot patent sunlight. You cannot patent the act of drying a leaf. A crop that regenerates after every harvest cannot generate repeat seed sales. A protein source requiring no industrial processing cannot generate processing revenue. A product a family produces in their own backyard eliminates every single link in the supplement supply chain. This is why you have never heard of it. Search any medical database for whey protein and you will find thousands upon thousands of funded studies. Search for Moringa protein and you find a fraction of that number. Not because Moringa is less effective, because Moringa has no corporate sponsor. Supplement companies fund trials that support their products. They do not fund research that makes their products unnecessary. The World Health Organization highlighted Moringa as a potential solution to global malnutrition as early as the 1970s. Small clinical trials explored its effects on anemia and inflammation through the early 2000s. But the studies stayed small, the funding stayed scarce. The industry looked elsewhere because the industry saw no profit in a tree that anyone could grow in a bucket on a porch. What cannot be owned cannot be sold. What cannot be sold cannot be marketed. What cannot be marketed does not enter Western consciousness. But the protein is not the whole story. The seeds hold something no one expected. Moringa seeds purify contaminated water. Take a single seed, crush it, and stir it into a liter of muddy brown water pulled from a river or a ditch. Within 1 to 2 hours, the dirt, bacteria, and sediment sink to the bottom of the container. The water above becomes clear, drinkable, safe. Proteins inside the seed carry a positive electrical charge that attracts and binds to the negatively charged particles of dirt and bacteria floating in the water. They clump together, grow heavy, and fall. No chemicals, no electricity, no filter cartridge, just a crushed seed and patience. In a world where waterborne diseases kill hundreds of thousands of children every year, a single moringa tree produces thousands of seeds each season. One tree, clean water for a family, clean water for a village. No infrastructure required beyond a bucket and a piece of cloth to strain it. Think about that for a moment. A tree that feeds you complete protein from its leaves and purifies your drinking water from its seeds. Both functions from the same organism. No power grid, no chemical treatment, no supply chain, no subscription. You can grow this tree yourself. Moringa thrives in USDA zones 9 through 11. In warmer climates, it lives outdoors year-round. In cooler regions, it grows beautifully in a large pot that you bring indoors before the first frost. Here is the setup. Soak your moringa seeds in water for 24 hours. This softens the hard outer shell and dramatically improves germination rates. Fill a pot of at least 5 gallons with well-draining soil. Moringa prefers sandy soil with moderate organic content. Plant the seed about an inch deep. Water lightly. Place it in the sunniest spot you have. Germination takes 10 to 12 days. Be patient. Once the seedling emerges, water moderately, but do not drown the roots. Moringa hates standing water. When the tree reaches about 2 to 3 feet tall, cut the top shoot. This single action forces the tree to branch sideways, creating a bushy shape with far more harvestable leaves than a single tall stalk would produce. The visual transformation is something you will not forget. Picture your pot in week 1, bare soil with a single seed beneath the surface. By week 2, a bright green shoot breaks through. By month 2, a slender sapling reaching past your waist. By month 4, you are standing under a tree taller than you with branches loaded with leaves ready for the first harvest. Harvest the leaves. Dry them on a flat tray in the shade to preserve the nutrients. Once completely dry, grind them into a fine green powder. Store in an airtight container in a cool, dark place. 1 spoonful of this powder in a smoothie, a soup, or stirred into a glass of water delivers a measurable dose of complete protein along with vitamins and minerals that most people pay monthly subscriptions to get from a plastic tub. Save the seeds for next season, or press them for oil if you have a simple hand press. The oil resists rancidity naturally and has been used in cooking for centuries across the tropics. The leftover seed cake after pressing works as garden fertilizer or animal feed. Nothing from this tree goes to waste. Consider the scenario that families think about more often than they admit. Supply chains falter, stores run low on shelves, protein powder becomes unavailable or unaffordable. But the family with a Moringa tree growing on their patio faces no disruption whatsoever. They harvest leaves for fresh eating, they dry powder for long-term storage, they save seeds for water purification, their protein, their vitamins, and their clean water remain secure regardless of what happens beyond their property line. This is what resilience looks like. Not warehouses full of freeze-dried meals, not capsules shipped from factories across oceans. Resilience is a tree that regrows after every harvest and purifies your water while feeding your family and regenerates itself while you sleep. The question was never why the tropics hid this tree. The tropics hid nothing. Walk through the Coyambedu market in Chennai. Vendors display bundles of drumstick pods in towering stacks. Bottles of golden Moringa oil line wooden shelves. Bags of dried leaf powder fill woven baskets. Indian shoppers walk past without a second glance because Moringa is as ordinary to them as parsley is to Americans. The extraordinary became ordinary through 4,000 years of daily use. Visit a village in rural Senegal. Women tend Moringa trees along their fence lines the way American homeowners tend rose bushes. The leaves go into every pot of food, the seeds go into every jug of drinking water. The knowledge was always there, always public, always available. The answer is not conspiracy. The answer is structure. Economic systems see what benefits economic systems. Research follows funding. Funding follows patents. Patents require control. A tree that grows 10 feet a year, survives drought, produces complete protein, manufactures its own bioactive peptides, and purifies contaminated water cannot be controlled. It regrows, it spreads, it naturalizes, it becomes permanent, it becomes free. 3 generations of Westerners grew up without ever hearing the word Moringa, not because anyone hid it, because no one profited from revealing it. The internet is changing this equation one search query at a time. What took decades to overlook may take only years to reverse. The tree does not care about profit margins or revenue models. It cares about growing. It cares about producing leaves and seeds and pods and doing what it has done quietly for 4,000 years across every tropical landscape on this planet. The seed you plant this spring will produce a tree this summer. That tree will produce leaves you can harvest every 6 weeks for the rest of the season. Those leaves will contain every essential amino acid your body requires. The seeds will purify your water, and next spring you can plant the saved seeds and start the whole cycle again. Every season, Moringa will return to remind you that the most valuable things in life often cost the least. A seed, a pot of soil, a few minutes of patience, and then years of complete protein from a tree that Western science overlooked, while 1 billion people across the tropics ate it for dinner. And don't forget, if you want to grow the same plants that have been rooted in history since biblical times, Eden's harvest has got you covered. Go show them some love.